I would like to mention very important 7 advices given by the Buddha. This is called Sapta Aparihaniya Dhamma. Sapta means 7. Parihani means decline. Aparihani means not to decline. So 7 kinds of dharmas for us to uphold if you don't like to decline. So these advices given by the Buddha for the rulers, how to maintain their kingdom, how to look after their subjects, how to maintain peace, harmony, without facing conflicts, clashes and calamities. So these advices are very important for your worldly life. So the spiritual development is one thing and worldly life is another thing. The Buddha has not neglected the worldly life. He has given a lot of advice for you to learn, to practice, to lead your household life and worldly life. So, Sapta Aparihaniya Dhamma, 7 kinds of dharmas or the factors for us to maintain, not to decline. Declining means he is not going to talk against the nature, but certain things that we can maintain by following certain principles and dignity. Otherwise, we had to face so many problems and difficulties and worries. That is called declining. The first item is, as a community. Now he gives this advice to one particular community, either one particular race or religion. So this community, let us take Buddhist community or Chinese community or Sinhalese or Indian community. They must get together. When they get together, they gain some sort of courage and the strength that they develop to look after, to attend to each other by giving moral support. If they can maintain this, they don't feel loneliness, frustrations or disappointments. Although there are some problems, personal problems, they can minimize many of their problems and worries if their own community can cooperate. Now let us take Buddhist community, Christian community and Muslims communities. Especially Christians and Muslims are more advanced than Buddhists and Hindus and some others. They get together, they discuss, they organize things systematically to influence others. That is why they prosper. Now let us take a simple example, although we do not agree. The man who has written that book, criticizing and condemning Islam, now he is facing enormous worries, problems and difficulties, and his life also in danger. Because the whole Muslim world, millions of them are united with one voice, although there are some different opinions, with one voice. They try to show that man who has written this book has done a lot of damages to their religion. That is what the Buddha says here. If you can unite, although it is a small community, you can raise your voice. You should not think we are belong to minority community, we have no voice. No, if you are united, you can strengthen your power, can be heard by others. There is a parable how a tiny creatures also can topple an elephant, huge elephant, because they cooperate with each other. I read this story in a Sanskrit book. The story goes like this. In a jungle, there were small birds laid eggs in a nest, in a branch of a tree. So when these birds were hatching the egg, a big elephant came and broken the branch and eaten the leaves and dropped the eggs and smashed. The poor bird was watching hopelessly, thinking what to do now. But the bird decided to take revenge. So what did he do? He went to meet another bird. I think the name is woodpecker, isn't it? The long beak. Went to see this bird and explained to him what this elephant has done to this bird's family. Could you please cooperate with me to teach a good lesson to this elephant? Then the woodpecker asked, what do you want me to do? And go and attack the ice. So the woodpecker said, yes, I can do that. So one day, this woodpecker went and attacked the both ice. Later, of course this is a parable, he approached flies and told them to bring some germs and drop here. So the ice infected and this elephant is now completely blind. So he was moving here and there. He was very thirsty, cannot find out where the water is. The bird was watching. Then he approached the frogs and asked them to go and make noise under a rock where there's a big hole, like pit. Elephant thought this must be a water pond where you can take some water. So slowly walk and drop into that pit and died. So only 3 or 4 join together. Bird, flies and frogs. They are unity, they are cooperation. Therefore we should not think that we belong to a small community, we have no power, we have no voice. If we are united, we can do wonderful things. You know very well, the rope that which can pull everything. What is this? Piece of occurrence. First we make a string, very tiny. After that we join hundreds and thousands of strings together and make one big rope. When we separate, only tiny a string. But when we join all together, it becomes a very strong rope which can pull everything. So in the same manner, when we are united, others are scared to harm us, disturb us. They say, hey, don't play the fool with them, you know they are united. If you disturb one of them, hundreds and thousands of them will come to take revenge or to attack or to protect them. This is the way how we can maintain our community or our religion or our race or our culture without disturbing others. We can unite, we can work together without discriminating, without harboring jealousy or grudge or enmity. This is very important, and we can understand why the Buddha said, this is the first advice given by the Buddha for us to unite, work together, discuss our differences and bury our differences and work together. That is the first advice. Second one, get up when it is necessary with one voice. You should not have different opinions. That is why you have to discuss earlier. What are the differences? What are the points that we cannot agree? So discuss everything earlier. Then you know how to adjust, or how to bury certain things, how to cultivate certain things. Then you can get up with one voice when it is necessary. Just now I mentioned about that book. Millions of Muslims are very angry, although we don't encourage anger. But we cannot say they are wrong, because that man has no right to condemn another religion. One year ago, in America, they have published a magazine. In that magazine, the front cover, here, they have published the portrait of the Buddha, the picture of the Buddha. Very vulgar and dirty picture. Nobody to raise voice, nobody to get up against these dirty things. Here you can see Buddhists are not united. So they can play the fool with Buddhism. Buddhists have no backbone. That is why they say very passive, not active. But we don't want Buddhists to become violent and aggressive, arrogant. But when it is necessary, we must know how to raise our voice, how to show with one voice that they are wrong. Or see the difference now. How many books are there in the market about Buddhism, written by non-Buddhists? When people read this book, they get fed up with this religion. Rubbish they have written in the name of Buddhism. But Buddhists have no authority, no power, no voice to do anything against those writers or publishers. But if they write anything against Islam in any part of the world, they never keep quiet. They know what to do. Even Christians also do not keep quiet. So we should not abuse our tolerance. Tolerance does not mean that we must keep quiet for everything. When it is necessary, we have to raise our voice. But our attitude is to avoid violence and bloodshed. This is our principles. We don't encourage anybody to create bloodshed or violence in the name of Buddhism. But others can do that also. Then work together. We must know how to work together. As Buddhists, you have learned. We have different mentalities, different temperament or characters, different way of thinking. I told you one day, you cannot find two human beings in this world who thinks equally. Impossible. Each and every human being thinks individually, separately. No two persons who can think exactly in the same line. That is why always we come across clashes, disagreement, misunderstanding. So we must think earlier. We are like this. Always there will be differences. When such differences arise, our duty is to find out ways and means either to cooperate or to avoid, if not to tolerate. And then there won't be clashes, misunderstanding or enmity. Not knowing this, when we are going to work together, we had to face so many problems. Even to hold a committee meeting, assume there are 10 to 15 people in that committee. They have their own opinion, different opinions. One cannot agree with others' opinion. Argument. Then we must know how to handle, how to compromise. In certain cases, we had to adopt give and take policy. Without adopting this, we cannot settle any problems. So we should not be very stubborn, thinking that we should not give up, give in. No, that is wrong. For the sake of peace, There are certain things we have to tolerate, compromise, and find out some sort of method as give and take policy to avoid losses, misunderstanding. Give and take policy to settle all our problems is actually like breathe in and breathe out. Remember this. So what will happen to you if you stop breathe in without breathing out? Hold on. See what will happen to you. Can you survive? You have to breathe out. That is called give and take. Give and take. In our whole life, we have to adopt this attitude to live peacefully. Especially husbands and wives, parents and children, friends and relatives, or the places where they work. Give and take policy must be the only solution for certain things. One-way traffic doesn't solve the problem. But that method is not for the human vehicle. And then, next one. Regarding certain rules and regulations and laws, I told you the Buddha is giving this advice to one particular community to tell them how to rule the country, how to maintain peace. Now here he says, when you are going to introduce a new law, you have to consider this very carefully. Whether people can tolerate this, whether people will be affected, whether the people have to suffer, whether there will be any progress. Without considering all these things, just only for your own benefit, benefit of the rulers, without considering the situation of the subjects. If you introduce any law, any rules, it's very unfair. Then there won't be unity, cooperation, peace in that country. It is true. Supposing the government in a country introduce certain rules for their own protection, and we have to suffer because of their new laws, how do we feel? We feel very unhappy, and we don't want to cooperate with that government. Whenever there is any chance, we try to topple that government in any part of the world because people have to suffer. Well, that is how those calamities, disturbances, upheavals, riots take place in many countries. So the Buddha's advice is, when you are going to introduce a new law, must consider very carefully. Next one, certain principles, manners, traditions that people have maintained for thousands of years, appreciated by majority, that these principles are noble, remarkable, useful. You should not change, you should not wipe out such laws or such principles that people had been maintaining, respecting for thousands of years, thinking these are old passions, out of date, not suitable for the modern way of life, modern education. But we can understand how our forefathers maintained their dignity, how they could manage to live peacefully without facing so many violence and problems and bloodshed, by maintaining such ancient wisdom. Let us take certain principles introduced by Confucius, the Buddha, even Jesus, Krishna, Socrates, and many others. They are noble sayings. There is no time limit for their advices. But when the life, the way of thinking, the way of life or the society, morals, ethics, spiritual development changes, we feel that those principles or advices are out of date. That is our feeling. But we never analyze deeply why they had to mention these things and how these principles have contributed for human beings to maintain their dignity, to lead a peaceful and respectable life. For our material development, these principles sometimes not practical. We feel not practical. To bluff others to become very rich, these principles are out of date. But their idea is not to gain worldly powers or authorities, but to maintain dignity and peace and happiness and to lead a respectable life. That is what the Buddha says here. You should not give up at once certain ancient principles which contributed a lot to maintain human dignity. Next one, he says, you should not forget to respect your elders. Who are these elders? Your parents, grandparents, uncles and aunties, or some other elders in your community. Not only in your own community, there may be some respectable elders in other communities also, because their maturity, experience, knowledge, they have gathered throughout their life. And the experience they had through their trials and errors, they know what is right and what is wrong. There are many things for us to learn from them according to their experience, not according to their book knowledge. What is right and what is wrong. There are many things for us to learn from them according to their experience, not according to their book knowledge. You can understand some of them are not educated, cannot read, but their knowledge, their wisdom, their experience are excellent. So we should not neglect them. On the other hand, another aspect, elders are weak, not very strong. They cannot run, they cannot work very hardly, very slow. So it is our duty to pay special attention to them, give them due respect, because they are weak. This is another way of respecting elders. Then, our cooperation and understanding in elders and youth or younger generation is very healthy. So, youth needs guidance from elders. Elders need support from the youth. That mutual understanding and cooperation are very important for their living. That is why the Buddha said, don't forget to respect your elders. Next one, not to disturb either married or unmarried women, females, because this is happening all over the world. Not only today, even thousands of years ago, they had this problem. Weaker sex had to face a lot of problems and difficulties from the opposite sex. Therefore, male should not take the advantage of their, by using their masculine to topple the feminine qualities of female. They must know how to respect them. Here respect means not to disturb them. There are certain occasions where we have to give them due place, because they are regarded as weaker sex, but today they don't like this word weaker sex. Sometimes they are stronger than men now. There are few more discourses where Buddha has mentioned this. He said, in Brahmana Dhammika Sutra, one of the discourses, the Buddha has given many reasons that dogs have more principles than those so-called advanced Brahmins. Brahmins are the religious leaders in India at that time. But the Buddha says, dogs are more superior to many of those Brahmins. Why? He said, a male dog never disturbs very small female dog unless that female dog attains her age. But these human dogs disturb even 6-month baby also. That is what the Buddha says. Dogs have more principle than those high-class Brahmins. Now, by considering all these things, the Buddha has given this warning, this advice. Whether they are married or unmarried, to maintain your human dignity as a gentleman, your duty is not to disturb them, not to abuse your power, physical power. Maintain that dignity. Next one. You must know how to respect all the existing places of worship, whether they are belong to your religion or another religion. If you can do this, there won't be any upheavals or misunderstanding or discrimination. You should not support only your particular religion. Rulers have their own religion. If they support and protect and promote only their religion and disregarding, discriminating the other existing religion, the Buddha says it is wrong. As rulers, your duty is to respect and protect, give respect to all those places of worship belong to different religions, their respective religions. By following this noble advice, Emperor Asoka, who lived 200 years after the Buddha, who promoted Buddhism all over the world, protected and promoted, supported all the existing religions in India, not only Buddhism. If you return in history, how he supported all the other religions. Because this is one of the advices given by the Buddha. We should not regard the followers of other religions are our enemies. It is wrong. They too have their own religious principles. They are also trying to do some service within their capacity. They are not going to do any harm to others. So you can practice your own religion. At the same time, you must know how to respect other religions. If they cannot do that, they are wrong. And they create misunderstanding. Then there is no unity. They are divided into different groups, hate each other, harbor jealousy, regard as enemies because of this discrimination. Do you know, in Indonesia, religious department, there's one minister for one religion to look after that particular religion. Radio, televisions, programs are available for all the existing religious groups in Indonesia. I understand more than 85% or 90% are Muslims, but they know how to respect other religions. I heard that Buddhists in that country only 2%. Even then, they get a place. In Sri Lanka, 75% Buddhist, 7% Christians, I think more than 6% Muslims and 12% Hindus. But in radio, television, everywhere, almost every day, all of them were given equal right, time, early morning, to talk or to give advices to their followers. Buddhist talk, Christian talk, Muslims talk, Hindu talk, every day. So they never discriminate. And there are many other countries also. These are very important points for them to consider to maintain harmony, cooperations and understanding, to rule a country. Otherwise, people feels very unhappy or uncertainty in their way of life, unrest, suspicions. To avoid all these problems, it is the duty of the rulers to give them a due place. So here the Buddha says, respect all the existing places of worship in your country, irrespective of their religious labels. Next one. When you practice your religion, don't forget to respect the religious leaders of other religions. Now if you say, as Buddhist, you cannot respect a Christian priest or Muslim imams or Hindu sadhu or priest, you are wrong, according to the Buddha. If you think they are worthy of respect, if they are harmless and respectable people, if their way of life is useful, respectable, if they are doing some service to others, they are worthy of respect. Others may not follow this, but we should not follow them. We can understand what is right and what is wrong. Here the Buddha's advice. It is your duty not to discriminate or not to disturb the religious leaders of other religions. Now these are the 7 kinds of advices given by the Buddha for the rulers as well as the subjects to maintain. So when we develop or uphold these good qualities, the courage that we gain because of our unity, the strength, gives confidence to maintain our activities, our way of life, our household life, our work, our business. For everything, these qualities are important. So, here you can understand the Buddha did not spend his time only talking about meditation. You must concentrate and meditate on this point to cultivate your way of life. Now can you remember? And now repeat one by one. These are very important. Yes, Mr. Boone, you got wonderful memory to maintain all these items because you swallow all these things. Can you remember? The other day you explained so many items. Anyway, you know the meaning, what to do. Although certain things are difficult, but you know they are very important. There is no argument. There is nothing for us to argue. For thousands of years they have practiced, they have seen the good result, so there is nothing for us to argue. They are important. So try as much as possible if we really want to live peacefully, to live a peaceful life. Yes. We shouldn't talk too much, otherwise you forget all these things. Keep fresh mind. Yes, few questions? You never get the chance to ask questions when I talk. Sākāsattā Jabummattā Devānāgā Mahiddhikā Puññantang Anumoditvā Cirang Rakkhantu Loka Sāsanam Ittāvatā Camhehi Sambhatang Puñña Sampadang Sabbhe Devā Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya Devo Asvatu Kālena Sassa Sampatti Hetuca Pīto bhavatu loko ca raja bhavatu dhammiko idam yo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā huntu ñātayo imina puñña kammena māmi bāla samāgamo sataṁ samāgamo hotu vyāva nibbāna pattiyā. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Puja Griming Labhayada Kusrani Sansa Dharmyan Hetu Katagina Patamakata Loka Sasaniya Raksha Karana Indradi Diyang Singan Modang Nulabatva Patama Punyan Modana Vingadikatara Chittapi Diyataminya Madhyangi Diyatejan Bhabalingha Buddhadi Ratnatrayan Bhabaleda Karnapatakinamitam Patang Niyandakna Jai Dakwa Narakadi Satrapayot Patti Dukhe Karnapamina Chatur Maharaj Gadi Adi Lokyanya Pamano Sadiya Sri Sampattavada Navatame Slopan Kalhi Matmanavan Anagatakali Lobalahi Adaranao Maityanam Bhagyat Putrayanan Sedaki Mingha Unwanse Sindeshana Garavada Labana Udumu Sri Saddharmeswane Kirimin Kadavara Amamaniyan Sampallabanata Mepinnatuntat Mepinnatunna Minna Simiya Paralogiya Sirmanyatin Tat Ekama Saddharma Mandale Gadina Labanata Hetu Vavasana Vivasita Sadhara Siting Yukto Tingan Modang Yutu.